In the Sanskrit epic the Ramayana, written between the 7th and 3rd centuries BC, the great Prince Rama, avatar of Vishnu, defeats the evil King Ravana with the aid of the Vanara, a tribe of animalistic shapeshifters reported to live in the deep forests of Southeast Asia. In popular art, the Vanara are depicted as humanoid primates, leading some to believe that they are based on real beings that may have been lost to time. History is riddled with many such mythical tales of unexplained creatures lurking in the wilderness just outside of our knowledge, from sea serpents to unicorns, from El Chupacabra to the Loch Ness Monster. It's easy to dismiss all of them as mere fables, stories passed down from generation to generation to keep children from wandering too far from the safety of the tribe, but every once in a while, we find that there is more reality to these stories than you might think. For example, the Kraken was said to be a giant squid-like creature that would attack sailing vessels with its giant tentacles. And now we know that, while exceptionally rare, some large cephalopods like the Humboldt squid or the colossal squid, now verified as real undersea creatures, have attacked modern ships at sea. In the 1950s, the Belgian-French naturalist Bernard Heuvelmans suggested that real science could be applied to these myths, that empiricism mixed with anthropology could teach us more about both the natural world and ourselves. He, along with Scottish zoologist Ivan T. Sanderson, dubbed this new scientific endeavor cryptozoology, a term whose reputation has been tainted by hoaxers, crackpots, and amateurs. However, there are serious cryptozoologists out there who take the field even more seriously than Heuvelmans did, and who apply appropriate science, not necessarily to hunt or even find these creatures, but to understand them, be they real or fiction. As for the Vanara of Indian legend, they represent an incredibly common flavor of so-called cryptid, the half-man, half-ape beast known throughout the world under various names such as the Bili ape, the Bukit Timah monkey man, the Hibagon, the Sisimito, the Yowie, the skunk ape, the Yeti, and of course, the Sasquatch, aka Bigfoot.
All you'll ever be.
On their way home from a camping trip, George Henderson and his family hit something inexplicable with their station wagon. They take it home, only to discover that the creature, the Bigfoot, is still alive, and it's hungry. Quickly learning that the Sasquatch is peace-loving and gentle, they decide to take him back to the forest. Only he runs away into the urban jungle of Seattle first. Can the Hendersons recover Harry in time, or will a growing mob of hunters catch him first? In the mid-1980s, the musician-slash-voice actor-slash-writer William E. Martin had the idea for a television sitcom in which Bigfoot lives in suburbia. Martin named his Bigfoot Harry, after Harry Nilsson, whom he had worked with multiple times, and Martin, along with co-writer Ezra Rappaport, penned the script for a half-hour pilot, tentatively made under the assumption that Fred Gwynne would play the Sasquatch. The filmmaker William Deere, who worked with Martin on Michael Nesmith's Elephant Parts, was interested in making the script a reality, and as he was wrapping up production of an episode of Amazing Stories, producer Steven Spielberg approached him and asked him if there were any projects he wanted to work on. Spielberg liked the idea of Harry and the Hendersons, but instead of a television pilot, he and Deere agreed it should be a feature film. Therefore, Deere worked with Martin and Rappaport to extend their half-hour television pilot into a 2-hour movie. Spielberg had gotten the ball rolling, but at some point during pre-production, he and Deere found themselves in disagreement about the details, eventually leading to Spielberg taking his name out of the credits and handing the bulk of the production from Amblin Entertainment to Universal Studios, mere days before production was set to begin. Today's episode was voted for by my patrons. Go on over to my Patreon page and show me some support to get early access to videos, bonus content, and more. A special shout out goes to my $8 patrons: Batty Bat Firebrand, Chuck Poor, Diane McGill Davis, Giffen Chumley, John Burrell, Mike O'Connor, Numinous 2019, Robert McGill, Scott Johnner, Sean Vale, Spoats, TB Schramek, I hope I pronounced that right, and Warren Davis. And to my other patrons and channel members as well. Thank you for making this channel possible. And now back to the show. For the male lead of George Henderson, Deere turned to John Lithgow, known at the time as a serious theater actor who had appeared in The World According to Garp and Terms of Endearment. He wasn't unfamiliar with comedy, his role as Dr. Lizardo in Buckaroo Banzai is pretty outrageous, but he did struggle to know whether or not his acting was over the top. To which Deere reminded him that he was acting next to a guy in an 8-foot-tall fursuit. One fun Easter egg in the film is this statue, which is of the gremlin from the classic Twilight Zone episode Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, the remake of which, in Twilight Zone the movie, Lithgow had starred in.
I looked out the window, and I saw something on the wing of the plane. The same thing happened to me!
Other Easter eggs, such as the BB gun, the foot lamp, and Ernie's glasses, reference A Christmas Story, which is where Deere found his female lead, Melinda Dillon. The primary antagonist, the Bigfoot-obsessed hunter LaFleur, who is partially based on real-life Bigfoot hunter René Dahinden, is played by future Poirot actor David Suchet, who took the role as seriously as he would Shakespeare. Another veteran actor, Don Amici, plays his counterpart, Dr. Wrightwood, himself based on a few different Bigfoot researchers. Other notable actors include future publishing CEO Maggie Langrick as Sarah, Lainey Kazan as the stereotypical nosy neighbor Irene, and the prolific M. Emmett Walsh as George Henderson Sr. There's also a brief cameo from director William Deere, and this Bigfoot sketch is a cheeky caricature of writer William Martin. However, the biggest actor on set, towering over even the 6'4" John Lithgow, was the 7-foot-tall Kevin Peter Hall, in lifts that added another foot. Hall, who was recommended to Deere by effects man Rick Baker, had appeared in Prophecy, Without Warning, and Misfits of Science, and he would later appear as the titular Predator in the first 2 Predator films. It was up to Baker to turn him into Harry.
You one ugly mother...
There were 3 different Bigfoot suits, each of which was handmade, with each strand of hair sewn in over the course of months. There was a primary suit for the majority of the up-close work, and 2 stunt suits, which sacrificed detail for maneuverability. The face had to be as expressive as possible. At one point, Deere had outlined 58 distinct facial expressions for Baker to incorporate, and Deere also mandated that the actor's eyes remain visible. This sketch, featured in the film, was one of Baker's original sketches for the creature, and the one Deere approved. Surprisingly, the makeup and the head that Baker designed were easily applied to the actor in just 30 minutes. Though the eyes and jaw were under Kevin Hall's control, the majority of the face was done with animatronics. However, given that Harry was constantly on the move and had his upper torso fully in frame most of the time, Baker and the effects team couldn't wire it up the way they normally would, instead having to resort to remote control servos. With practice, they were able to work together with the actor to make all of his facial expressions synchronous, even able to improvise in real time. Rick Baker, who snagged an Oscar for his work on the movie, has gone on record saying Harry is probably his favorite creation, and Kevin Hall similarly said that Harry was his favorite performance. Indeed, the entire film relies on making the Sasquatch not only believable but relatable, and judged on that alone, it is easily a success. Personally speaking, I don't think we've reached that level with entirely CG characters yet, as practical effects like these, even if we can see the seams, always feel more tangible and real than computerized ones. And I don't think that's even a controversial opinion. Filming on Harry and the Hendersons took place over the summer and early autumn of 1986, on a budget of around $10 million. Location shooting took place in and around Seattle, in downtown, in the suburbs, and in both the Olympic Mountains to the west and the Cascades to the east. While daytime shots of the Henderson house were filmed at a real house in Wellingford, the house was reconstructed, both inside and out, on Universal's enormous Stage 12, for night shots of the exterior, and so that the interior could be rigged for the extensive damage caused by a roaming Bigfoot. The film released the following June, to a profitable but underwhelming worldwide box office of $50 million. Critics were lukewarm on it, praising both the effects and the performance of John Lithgow, but being largely dismissive of the humor, the goofy derivative plot, and what they saw as mediocre directing. It did do well on home video though, and was popular enough to spawn a television series in the early 90s that lasted for 3 seasons. Now, maybe it's because I saw it as a kid, but I still have a warm place in my heart for Harry and the Hendersons. Sure, you can tell it started life as a sitcom pilot, and sure, your mileage may vary on how much you enjoy family-friendly situational comedy, but I don't think it's fair to dismiss the movie altogether. It is ambitious in its own way, and showcases the versatility of practical effects when they were at their height. Also, I don't think they make family films like this anymore, and that's a palpable loss. Thematically, it's simple, but nevertheless thoughtful. George is the character with the biggest arc, going from a gung-ho sport hunter to a man who has a growing respect for nature. From a man following his father's dreams, to a man who realizes he was forcing the same warped value system onto his own son. He goes from seeing Harry as a beast to put down, to a benevolent avatar of the forest who is more human than monster. Through George, and to a lesser extent through the other characters as well, we catch glimpses of what drives our fascination with cryptids, with the unexplained just out of our reach here on planet Earth. Whether or not you believe things like Bigfoot could exist, and I'm not here to change your mind either way, you have to acknowledge that there is a reason why we look for them. Maybe we're trying to conquer our own demons, or maybe we want to be remembered for discovering something. Maybe we are looking for a sense of awe and wonder lost in the cynicism of skeptical adulthood, or maybe we are hoping to find something that can bring us closer to understanding our place in the universe. No matter what, Bigfoot is there to teach us about ourselves, and that's what this movie is ultimately about. Therefore, regardless of where you stand in the debate over the legitimacy of cryptozoology, you can't tell me that Harry and the Hendersons is anything but a sci-fi classic. And that's all for today, my fellow Earthlings. What's your favorite cryptid? Let me know in the comments below, and while you're there, don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Thank you for watching, and until next time, when we'll be attacked by an alien dragon king, this is the Unapologetic Geek, telling you to never be ashamed of what you love, as long as you're not hurting anybody.
Where is it now, Mr. Henderson?
It's in the bathroom.